Are couples more likely to, is a marriage more likely to fall apart? Is conflict more likely in these marriages? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I'll wait for some folks to get on. Let's talk about it today. And is, we often hear that money is one of the reasons why couples get divorced, right? We hear money is the reason why couples get divorced. Let me know if you've heard that. Before I go any further, this is your girl, Troy Ravenel, wife success coach, helping women to transform their lives and marriages in the 21st century. And again, let me know if you can hear me on my mic. I have a new mic that I'm trying out here, and I want to make sure I can't tell if I can't tell a difference, but I'm listening from my end. So maybe I can't tell a difference because I need some headphones or something. And I have some, but oh, no need. Okay, so we often hear that money is one of the reasons, the top three reasons why couples get divorced. But the question I have is it money? Is money the reason? Or it's the lack of honesty, openness, transparency around money? Let that ponder for a moment. Is money the reason why couples get divorced, or is it the lack of transparency, the lack of honesty, the lack of openness, and the lack of trust as to why individuals are getting married, and money just happens to be a contributing factor because we can't be honest about money because I don't trust you regarding the money, because I can't be transparent regarding the money because I grew up in a household where money was not talked about, where my parents did not combine finances. My mom hid stuff. So is that your story? And now you're not able to be transparent with your spouse, and that's coming out in the marriage. So we have to look at that. And before I came on live, and let me just tell you, I have my view. And my view does line up with the word of God because I live according to the word of God. So I love the Bible. I love the word of God. However, I also love science. And I like to look at research when we talk about things like this. I like to look at what does research say? What study has been done? Because we can say whatever we want. But if there is no data that's backing what we are saying, then we're just singing stuff. We're just talking because there's nothing, there's no case study, nothing has been tried, there's no data out there. So we have to be very mindful when we share to make sure that we're telling people things correctly and not just basing them on our beliefs, our religious beliefs, our values and things of that nature. So I really don't try to do that. I don't try to push my views on other people. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm trying out a new mic today, so let me know if you can hear me. I try not to push my personal views, my personal opinions, or my belief system, my spiritual beliefs on other people. I will share what I believe. However, I try not to push those things on other people and making people think if they don't choose the way I do it or the way I think it should be done, then it's wrong. What I can tell you, there's always a better way. There's always a better way. There's always a different way. I believe there's a when I say better way, I believe that there's a way to get you the results that you desire to get. Hey, Carkithia, I believe there's a way to get you the results that you desire quicker, faster, and better, right? And then I believe that there's a way that will still get you the results, but it may not be the results you desire or want, or they may not come in the time frame that you desire them. So should married couples combine finances, right? So let's ask that question and let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons if couples decide not to join finances. And I'm just telling you about my story. When we first got married, my husband and I first got married in 2012, we tried to combine finances. So I was all in. I was like, yeah, we're going to be the couple that combine finances. We're one in this area, and one bank account, and you're going to pay all the bills and blah blah blah, right? So we tried that, but needless to say, it did not work. When we first got married, it did not work. And a lot of that was because I was the person that grew up in the household and I didn't see finances combined. I didn't see my parents talk about money. I didn't see them. I didn't see that oneness when it came to finances in my household growing up. My mom did what she wanted to do with her money. My dad did what he wanted to do with his money. He got his paycheck. She got her paycheck. And a lot of times my mom did things that my dad didn't know. My dad did things that my mother didn't know. And that's one of the cons per se when it comes to not joining finances, because people are just doing whatever they want to do and nobody knows what's going on, right? So we have to look at that. And what I also want to say is joining finances is not necessarily you put all of your money into one account. Some couples may choose that. Some couples may have one account and they use that one account for everything. So if you're, you have one savings together, you have one checking together, and they use it for everything, and that may work. And then you have other couples that don't. And I just want to say statistically, it does not say that couples get divorced per se, or couples will divorce faster or have more, will divorce faster because of them not combining finances. What research has said is that there will be a higher level of conflict. There will be more disagreements. And of course, if those things are present, if we're always in conflict with one another, if we're always disagreeing, if we are not on the same page, then eventually that couple will separate physically, or or be in the same house but be on separate pages, or they end up separating altogether. So these are the things that we want to be able to prevent. There was a study that was done it was about 886 individuals who divorced. 886 people who divorced. There were in the state of Minnesota, where the study was done. And what they found out was the two most common reasons for people seeking a divorce was growing apart and not being able to talk to one another. So we can go back to, okay, why are we growing apart? Are we growing apart because we're not on the same page? Are we growing apart because we don't understand one another? Are we growing apart because we don't get along? Are we growing apart because we don't get along because we can't see eye to eye with one another? So we have to ask all of those questions. We can't just blatantly say that people are divorcing or marriages are not working for this particular reason, because there are always variables. There are things, even though, okay, finances may be one of the variables, right? Not getting along may be one of the variables. Growing apart may be one of the variables. So what is the underlying issue and the underlying problem? Is that communication? Is that the lack of communication? Is that the lack of being able to be transparent and being open with your partner? So what is the underlying issue and root causes that is causing, or that has caused, created, contributed to our separation and our divorce? Karkithia, let me know if I sound differently. I'm trying out a mic. I have a new mic today, and I don't know if you can tell the difference. I don't know. I hope it's on. Can you tell the difference when I do this? I may need to speak in the mic. I don't know if it needs to be in front of me. Bear with me, because I really want this gadget to work. So do I sound different when I do this, Karkithia? I may be saying your name wrong. I do apologize. I hate jacking up people's name. Okay, I think this might be a better situation. Let me know. Let me know, and I may need to get a little closer. Okay. Yeah, sound good. Slight echo, but clear. Okay, when I do this, how about this? Is it still like an echo, or it's pretty clear? So, okay. I just wanted to know if it's working. I don't know. So yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons per se. Hey, how are you? Let's talk a little bit about that. Let me see if I can wave. So today we're talking about couples joining finances, and if not joining finances causes divorce or will cause more conflict, and are couples who join finances more likely to stay together and have a healthier and happy marriage? And what I said early on is that I try not to push my views, my beliefs, my values on other people. I will share with you what I believe. I will be open and transparent. However, I will not try to push my belief. I love God. I love the word. However, I also love science. So a lot of things that I do, just a little bit, but it's clear. Okay. A lot of things that I do, I will research and I will share with you what has been done as far as studies is concerned, because I can say whatever I want, but as far as study is concerned, and I know that there's a scripture in the Bible we often talk about, and we say the two come together and they're one. God has joined us together and we become one. And part of that oneness, I do believe part of that oneness is being able to combine finances. However, I also know that in many cases, that's a challenge for many people, because for the simple fact of how people grew up. If you grew up not knowing about finances, not being a good steward of your finances, or the opposite, and then your partner is the opposite, there's going to be some conflict there. So how do you come together, and how do you rationalize who's going to do what? What account are we going to use? What bills are we going to pay? And all that goes back to communication. All that goes back to you having a conversation with your significant other and making sure that we are talking about the things that we need to talk about, that we are very clear, that we are very open, that we are very transparent with our conversations. I was saying about how me and my husband, when we first started out, we tried it and it did not work. And it was more me than him. He had these goals. Like my husband, his goals for finances are totally different from mine. He's a holder, and he says that he holds on. And I'm not a holder. I'm like, let's spend it, and not necessarily spend it, but I'm like, oh, let's pay this bill. Let's pay it off. I'm an aggressive bill payer, and I like to get what I want. I don't think I overspend per se, but I do like to get what I want. And I am an aggressive bill payer. I like to pay off debt and bills and things of that nature. Whereas he will say, oh no, let's do it differently, or let's pay it later, or whatever. I'm not that way. So when it came to stuff like that, and when I wanted to do things and he did not want to do things, that's where conflict came to play. And that's where disagreements came. That's where arguments came, because we were on two separate pages. I was selfish to a point. He was selfish to a point. We both were stubborn in our own way. We didn't want to see things out. He had these goals that he wanted us to achieve, but he really didn't let me in on the goal and give me the big picture. I'm a big picture girl. So you can't just ask me to do something and not share with me everything that has to do with what we're doing, because I'm not going to go with it. And that was him. Like, he would say, oh, this is what we're doing, but he didn't feel like he had to go in detail and share with me what we were doing and why. I wanted detail, step by step, play by play. And him being man, he's like, I'm not about to go down. I'm not doing that. I'm not going step by step, play by play with you for every single thing. And that's what I wanted. We were getting a car. I want to know that. If we're getting a new vacuum, I want to know that. Like, I wanted to be involved in somewhat, I guess, in control of every financial decision. And him being the person that he is, that did not fly with him. So needless to say, it did not work. And we went for a long time, years, without combining. Now we did pay our bills. We made sure our bills were paid and things of that nature. We put money in the pot for things that we needed to do collectively, and that never lacked. However, when it came to combining, that was a no-go. So it went years later, and I just began to feel, and I believe that even the Holy Spirit convicted me, because I've always wanted us to join finances. I didn't feel like we were separate per se, but I just felt like us joining finances would have created another level of oneness, and it would have contributed to the overall health of our marriage. And I just felt like it would have allowed us to be more honest, open, transparent, and trusting of one another. So it was a strong desire that I had, whether the Holy Spirit gave me that desire, God gave me that desire. It was a strong desire I had to be able to combine finances and to be able to allow my husband to lead us in that way financially. So needless to say, I went to him and I shared with him what I felt, and we're in this place now where we are combining finances. However, we still do have separate accounts. I have a separate saving and checking, as well as he does, and we have a combined saving and checking account. So we're at this place now, and we can continue to grow and to evolve, but that takes being honest, open, and transparent. Even just today, he sent me something that he wanted me to do, and I'm like, no, let's talk about that. Like, no, I don't know if I agree with that. Let's talk about it. So you have to be able to talk about it and be okay talking about it and sharing. So let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons, and I'm gonna get off here in just a minute, you guys. Let's see, how long have I been on here? These conversations are like 20, 30 minutes for the most part. So let's talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to go off here. So when you decide to keep the money separate. So here are some of the pros, if you would, keeping the money separate. Again, I understand the scripture says when two come together, they become one. And that oneness, it does talk about oneness does not necessarily black and white state oneness in finances. However, I believe that when you come one, you become one in your finances as well, and also other areas of your marriage. Something I wanted to say, but I can't remember. You become one in your finances and other areas of your marriage, and that oneness will allow for growth to be um, more. What's the word I want to say? You grow more. That's what I want to say. You grow. With no other word I want to say. When you decide to join your finances one with another, you will grow as a couple. When you decide to be one, because you're talking more, right? You're talking. You're making sure that if you have disagreements and things of that nature, you're able to share those things. If you have a different belief, you're able to share those things. So money makes people talk. It can either hurt, it can help, or it can hurt. It can help or it can hurt, and you can decide what that would do for you. So when the pros of separate accounts is you both are actively involved in your finances. So couples who merge their finances is definitely pretty common for one person to control the money per se, or be the house manager or the money manager, or whatever you want to call it. But if both people are actively maintaining their accounts and keeping track of their income and spending, it's less likely that the person will end up being blindsided by the other partner and won't even realize when the other drives a couple into debt. So when you do have separate finances, I mean, this is a pros and con, because the pro is that you're actively involved in your own finances. The con is, this person could be doing things, spending money, getting into greater levels of debt, and you have no idea because they're spending their own money. So when you have no idea what's going on the other side, this person, you may think that they're saving and saving up for a rainy day and things of that nature, but in reality, they're spending, getting more in debt. So that's a pro and con. Number two pro is there are fewer disagreements on how you spend your money because nobody's telling you what to do, right? If you want something, you buy it. Simple. So you don't have to go check in with someone. And I'm not saying checking in is a bad thing, because I strongly believe that drives accountability and that drives trust. And I like the fact that you have to check in. And sometimes checking in is, when you check in, or when you have to check in, you're less likely to buy something or to spend money because you have to be accountable to somebody. So there are fewer arguments when it comes to that, or disagreements. Each partner's money is protected. So some people they're not good with money. And that's in a lot of relationships. You have the one person that's a saver and you have the other person that's a spender. So when you have money that's separate, this is a pro and a con, because guess what? On the con side is, if that person is a spender, then that means when time for bills to be paid, they don't have enough money to pay the bills because they're spending it on everything. So if this is what I'm going to say. If you know that you are poor at handling finances and your partner is better, let your partner be the person to handle the money. That's just what I'm gonna say. If you know that you have gotten yourself in an insurmountable amount of debt, insurmountable amounts of debt, and you are not good with finances, allow your partner to take the lead. At some point, you have to let go of the pride. You have to let go of, I want to do things my way. You have to let go of, this is my money mentality, and allow the person that is better able to track, monitor, spend and invest, do that. I'm just going to say that. And we are able to hold each other accountable. Exactly. And that's a good reason. And number 4, the last one I'm gonna share with you as far as a pro is concerned, is you can divide your money, your finances more equitably. So for example, if you're renting a house or an apartment or even your mortgage, the partner that may earn a little more may pay a little higher. That can be a pro and a con as well, because the pro side of it, okay, they make more, they can pay more, but the con side of it is the person that's paying more may feel that they have more stake in the property. They may feel like the property is twice as theirs than It's not. And you have that thought mentality among Christian couples, so that can happen. The only thing that the way you can prevent that from happening again is being honest and being open and transparent and being trustworthy, trusting your partner not to throw up in your face that they're paying double the amount of money on the rent or on the mortgage or the bill as a whole. Because my thing is, if you're getting paid more, I feel like you should contribute more. That's my personal belief. Don't shoot me. If you're getting paid more, if you're getting paid 2-3 times more than your partner, then why won't you? Why will you not want to pay more? What is that's why wouldn't you want to invest more? This is your relationship. This is your marriage. This is your family. So why wouldn't you want to give more if you have the means to do so? That's just my thought process. And let me share a couple cons, and then I'll take some questions, and then we'll be off. So con is you don't eliminate money arguments. So just because the con of separate finances, just because it's separated, that doesn't mean that there are no arguments. That doesn't mean that, because here again, if the person is a spender and you're a saver and you bring your money to the table at the first of every month, and you got to wait for them to get it together because they've already spent it on a new dress, a new car, or new shoes, or whatever they have, then that's not fair. And that alone will create an argument. So, when people say money is the reason why people argue, you have to then step back and say, okay, what's causing the money argument? And if these couples were able to be open and transparent, is it the money, or is it the fact that they can't be open? Is it the fact that they can't be transparent? Is it the fact that they can't be honest with their partner in sharing how they feel or be vulnerable? What is it really? Right? The number 2 con is you still have to pay bills. So regardless of what, if you're sharing or not sharing, bills still need to get paid. And the adults in the household are responsible for making sure that those bills get paid. So whether or not you decide to join or not join, bills still need to get paid. Number 3, it's easier to hide things. I said that earlier. I said it was a pro and a con of having separate accounts, because you're trusting one another. If you're having separate accounts, you're trusting one another to make sure that they are saving money, to make sure that they are not getting into further debt, they're not getting more credit card debt, or whatever the case may be. And if this is not happening and you are already separate in your finances, this is going to cause a greater issue. Again, why the statistics has said that money is one of the reasons why, because money is one of the factors into why we're having this conversation. Why are we having this conversation? Because you spent all the money, because we have bills that are due on the first and we don't have enough money to pay our bills. So there is the money factor. However, there's also the communication and trust factor that we have to keep looking at and understand that those are 2 strong variables in the scenario. We had more arguments when we were separate. I agree. We did too, Karkadia. We did too, because I wanted to do what I wanted to do, my money. And for me, it was more of accountability. I didn't want to be held accountable. I didn't want somebody telling me what I cannot do, the money I made on my good job. That was my thought process. That was a messed up mind, but that was my thought process. Okay. So that's what I want to share with you on today. There's also about merging your money or putting your money together, so we can share that on the next time. And there are pros and cons on that. I really wanted to answer the question about finances and being one. And here's what I want to leave you with. You have to see what works for you. I'm talking to my mic. I want to make sure it's working. You have to see what works for you. You have to ask the question, is this working for me? Is this working for us? Not me. Is this working for us? You can't necessarily look at other people and see what everybody else is doing or what everybody is telling you to do. Now, my personal belief is that you should combine finances. And if you're not at that place, to ask yourself why. Some people think, oh, it's a trust issue. It can be that, but you also have to trust the person that you're not. You also have to trust the person when you're not sharing finances, because again, you're trusting that they're saving. You're trusting that they're not getting into further debt. You're trusting that they'll be able to bring their money to the table the 1st and 15th and whenever your bills are due. So there's a trust factor overall. So you have to ask the question, why won't we? Is it something in your past and I like to go back to the past because I think it's necessary at times. You have to go back to go forward. Is it something in my past, like how I grew up, as to why joining finances is very hard for me? That was my story. I didn't see that growing up. That was not practice growing up. My parents spent their money the way that they wanted to spend their money, and I thought that's the way that it should have been. In another committed relationship I was in, I did what I wanted to do more or less, and I spent his money as well. So you have to see what were my patterns, what behavior did I implement in the past, what thought process, what mindset did I have in the past as it relates to money. What are my thoughts around money? What is my money story? So there's so many things and so many questions that we have to ask when you're not willing to do it. Now, do I believe that couples can be just as successful and prosperous if they do not combine finances? Yes, that's my personal belief. I believe because here's the thing, because even if we don't have a joint checking account, we can still check in with one another. We can still consult one another when we go to spend, make purchases. We can still have a rule and say, hey, you know what I have in my account. I know what you have in your account. They're not in one account. However, we are on the same page and we still have the same goals as it relates to our finances. So I believe that a couple can still grow and prosper and do just as well if they don't. However, we get back to communication. That's going to take a lot of communication. That's going to take you being very honest, very open, very transparent, and trust has to be a valuable factor in that marriage relationship in order to make that work. And you have to talk more too when you don't combine finances, because we're always checking in, so that it can be a pro and a con. And you just have to see what works for you, what works for your household, what will create cohesiveness in you and your relationship, your marriage relationship, and things of that nature. And don't try to push your views on other people or make somebody else believe what you believe because it works for you. It may not work for them, and that's okay. There's no way it's wrong. It's different, but it's not wrong. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So this is your girl, Sherelle Ravenel, Wife Success Coach, on just for the Q&A session for Wives Who Win Training Center. I come in about once a week and just answer a question from the audience. I have several more questions to answer, and I typically do this on a Saturday. There's no set time. So if you catch me, you catch me. If you don't, you don't. I just can't put a set time on Saturdays because really this is when I honor my Sabbath day. And it's also a day I clean and I do a whole lot of things. So I can't really narrow down. I really don't want to. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't want to narrow down time. It's not that I can't. I don't. I just want to, when I come on, I come on. If I decide not to come on, I don't, because I'm on every Friday with Friday Night Live, and I'm on every Monday with prayer. So I'm consistent in those areas. So Saturday is just like a free day, and we just kind of chat and talk and all that stuff. Thank you, Kirkithi. I thank you for just joining. And if you found this message helpful and you found this group helpful to you, please do invite some folks to come in. We're learning and growing and advancing together. I'm a wife just like you, doing life right alongside with you. I'm no different than you. I just happen to be the founder and visionary behind this amazing group. And I'm here to lead you and to guide you to be a godly wife so that you can have a godly marriage at the end of the day. And I believe that if that is the number one goal, then we all will win in our marriage. So you guys have an amazing Saturday. I will talk to you on Monday, 5:30 a.m. I will be right here praying for you. You all have a blessed day. Have a blessed weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.